So thank you all for joining this afternoon. What I'm going to do is give a high-level overview of the rank and tenure process. So my name is Jason Bartz, the Associate Dean for Academic and Faculty Affairs on the Omaha campus, and Joanna Kowalik, who's here as well, is a counterpart on the Phoenix campus. And we're here to help you kind of navigate this process the best we can. So what I'm going to talk about again, at a very high level, is a little bit about faculty appointments, because this is something that's kind of key to the tenure and promotion process. Talk about the timeline. Talk a little bit about how to decide if you're ready or not. A little bit about the application process, which there's some changes that we'll let you know about, and then kind of how to prepare the dossier. So faculty appointments at Creighton, the way that they're organized is really two broad categories: CU employed and faculty who are employed by our clinical affiliates, which is the vast majority of the faculty in the School of Medicine. And under both the employed and affiliate categories, you can see they're categorized either as teaching research or clinical educator. And in general, teaching research are basic scientists, and clinical educator are clinicians. And you can see under each one of those, in both the employed and the affiliate category, you can either be on the tenure track or not on the tenure track. We'll kind of talk about kind of the ramifications of all of this in the process. And then down below in the number 3 is contributed service. So this category is for kind of most universities call this volunteer faculty. And this is for individuals who are less than 100 hours per year. And promotion in contributed service is a totally different process, which I'm not going to deal with here today. So as far as kind of the employed versus clinical affiliates, so some of the important kind of differences as far as rank and tenure go is, oops, got something in the chat here. You include CHI, Dignity, Common Spirit employed in CU employed? No. So if you're employed by CHI, you're an affiliate faculty. So if you're employed by Creighton University per se, so it's basically who do you get your paycheck from? Okay, so back to the slides here. All right,
Will you be sharing the slides?
pardon.
I just put them in the chat again, and then we will also do it again at the end. I know if you're not on the meeting when we first shared them, you probably didn't get them.
Got it. All right, thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that. So for CU employed faculty tenure kind of means what you generally think tenure to mean is that's a guarantee of your kind of salary. It's kind of the traditional definition of tenure, and this is because of the employed status. Now, most of our faculty who are not employed but employed by our clinical affiliate is that tenure has a different meaning, and here tenure is that you have a right to automatic renewal of your faculty appointment. And we could talk later in the kind of the questions and answers, just kind of what's the value of tenure in both of these situations. So in the rank and tenure process, another kind of significant difference between the employed and the Creighton affiliate faculty is kind of the process in which the review goes through. So for the Creighton employed faculty and the clinical affiliate faculty, so all of the faculty in the School of Medicine, the first level review is at the School of Medicine. So the School of Medicine has a rank and tenure committee. We'll talk more about the composition of that later, but they review all of the dossiers, and they will vote on whatever is asked for, promotion, tenure, or both. So for the Creighton affiliate faculty, after the review from the School of Medicine committee is that this recommendation will go to the Dean of the School of Medicine, and the Dean of the School of Medicine will then decide on how to act on that. So the Dean is the decider, if you will. For Creighton employed faculty, the dossiers then go from the School of Medicine Committee on Rank and Tenure to the University Committee on Rank and Tenure. And then the University Committee on Rank and Tenure will review the dossier. They'll look at the letter from the School of Medicine, and then they will make a recommendation to the president of the university, and then the president of the university then decides on how to deal with that. So important kind of other things to consider is the department review is not part of the formal process, and the dossiers that are denied at the School of Medicine level still move to the University Committee for the CU employed faculty. So again, a major difference between the clinical affiliate faculty is that the decision is made by the Dean of the School of Medicine, whereas for Creighton employed faculty, the decision is made by the president of the university. So the timeline, so kind of all the slides that I presented today, this is probably the most important one. So all of these dates are dictated to us by the university. Prior to June 1st is kind of the process that you're thinking about whether or not it should go up or not. We'll talk about that a little bit more in future slides. And I have two dates highlighted, June 1st and October 31st. So June 1st is an important date because that's the day that you have to let my office know whether you're interested in going up for promotion and or tenure. For this, at this time, basically what you need is you need your CV. And you're going to need a list of references, both peer and trainee or student. And we'll talk kind of more in the details of that in a little bit. Then over the summer is when you'll be working on your dossiers, getting that all put together. And then the other key date is October 31st. So October 31st is when the dossiers are due in the Office of Faculty Affairs. And then the rest of the year is part of the just process of reviewing the dossiers. So again, November and December, they're reviewed at the School of Medicine level. And for those that go into the university level, they are reviewed after the first of the year. And then usually by the end of March or so is when the university announces the decision on the whole process. And then we start over again, moving on to June 1st. So again, June 1st and October 31st are the two important dates. And June 1st is when my office needs to know what your intentions are. So tenure. So we're going to talk about kind of tenure and promotion and kind of the guidelines and what the university considers to be meritorious for conferral of tenure or promotion. Kind of an important thing to remember is that tenure is granted by the university. So what I have on the screen right now is right from the university handbook. While promotion process, the definition of associate and full professor is from the schools, and we control that. So tenure, you can see this here is tenure is awarded on the basis of, and they have 4 different criteria, and it's basically all excellence at teaching, service, scholarship, etc. An exceptional record of achievement. Quite frankly, it's not terribly helpful because it's a bit vague. And in general, if you're coming up for associate professor, if you're able to be promoted to associate professor, you'll be fine in tenure. The clinical affiliates also have to fill out the dossier. Yes, all faculty are considered the same. Is there a time limit when a clinical affiliate tenure track can apply for promotion? Is it 6 years for them too? That's a really good question. So for the employed faculty, it is 6 years. For the non-employed affiliate faculty, 6 years is good, but there's not a strict limit to it. So we can talk more about that when we get to it. Good question. Thank you. So promotion is granted by the school. As I mentioned before, tenure is granted by the university. They define that. Promotion is granted by the school. And the reason that I talked about the faculty tracks before is because the guidelines for promotion to associate or full professor are slightly different if you're a clinical educator or a teaching research faculty, if you're tenure track or if you're non-tenure track. And so it's really important that you know exactly what you are. And if you have questions about this, you're not exactly sure about this, contact myself or Larry McCloskey, and we can tell you exactly what track you're in, if you're tenure track or not, and if this kind of suits your needs. So what I'm going to do now is just go through, I don't want to go through all of the various guidelines, but I'm going to go through the guidelines for promotion for an individual who's in the clinical educator track going from assistant to associate. This is by far the most common thing that happens. And so there's three different areas where guidelines are kind of applied. And the first is in teaching. And so teaching performance, and this is for faculty that are both tenure and non-tenure track. And there's 5 different areas. And basically what you can see is what we're looking for is it's not so much how much teaching you're done or that you're doing, but in the teaching that you're assigned, are you doing a good job? And how do you document that? And that's through evaluations from the students, and then also through your student references. So that's the first area. The second area is scholarship. And scholarship is the one area where there is a difference between tenure track and non-tenure track. So if you are in a tenure track, there's 7 different categories here that scholarly performance is evaluated on. And really number 6 is kind of probably the most important one in the sense of it's the most quantitative. And here it's a primary, senior, corresponding author of some sort of publication at least once every other year in something that is peer-reviewed, preferably PubMed indexed. So again, when you're kind of coming up and thinking about, well, am I ready? Is how is your scholarship? Are you kind of on this pathway or not? Non-tenure track has a slightly different criteria for promotion. And here you see there's 5 areas. And scholarship is still required, okay? But the amount of scholarship is different in the sense of right here it says that you have to have some scholarly activity. So it's really not as quantitative as a tenure track. And then service is the last of the 3 categories, and the criteria or the guidelines are the same for both tenure and non-tenure track. And here, clinical service, of course, is important, especially again in the clinical educator track. Service to the school, service to the university, service to the professional organizations. So again, this is important if you're doing work for various professional organizations. And I think something that sets Creighton apart from many other universities is community service. So those of you who are involved in community service, this is a very important aspect of our academic life that Creighton rewards and is very interested in. So anything that you do in this area should be included in your dossier. So are you ready? And so one of the important things here to remember is that the decision to apply is made by the applicant. So this is your call. You're not required to have the support of your academic department chair, although they are required to submit a letter. And so I would encourage people to speak with their chairs about this, to contact Joanna or myself, and we can chat with you and give you kind of our best unvarnished advice on kind of what we think are strengths and weaknesses for you as an applicant. So once you decide that you are going to go up for promotion and tenure, then kind of our role is how to get your dossier in the best shape possible for this process. So how to prepare your dossier is kind of next. And for the dossier, there's really only 2 important things, in my opinion, or 2 things that you have to kind of think about. And this is the first one, and this is the names of references. So per university handbook is that you need at least 8 peer references and at least 6, and here they say student references, but really more accurately, it's trainee residents. So it can be postdocs, it could be residents, etc. Anybody that you have trained can write you a letter. I'm going to deal with some of these chat questions here at the end because we're almost done here in the slides. So one of the important things with the references is, so for your peer references, you want your peer references to kind of cover all aspects of your academic life, to talk about your areas of scholarship, service, and teaching. You want references that are within the institution and from outside of the institution as if possible. I think it's a bit different if you're going from assistant to associate or associate to full. If you're going from associate to full professor, you want to probably have references from more national, international individuals. You're trying to make a case that you have, again, a regional to national reputation in your field. So this is one way to do it. The other thing with references is to make sure that they're going to write you a supportive letter. Um, so not infrequently, we will have dossiers come through with letters of references that are not entirely glowing. And so you don't want that to be you. So I would highly suggest to ask people in person if possible, if they're willing to write you a letter. And it's totally legit to say, hey, could you please write me a letter for promotion and tenure? I'm going up this year, next year, and could you please focus on X? Again, to kind of cover all of these areas. The student references, again, it could be any trainees, et cetera. Residents, again, for the clinical educator faculty, I think residents can write especially powerful letters. They're trainees of yours who get to know you especially well. And my only kind of recommendation for the trainee references is have your department chair or somebody you trust kind of help the trainees write their letters, or at least kind of vet their letters. Sometimes these are the first letters of reference that these individuals have written, and it can kind of show. So having a little bit of editorial help is not a bad idea. So this is, I think, one of the areas where you really want to think carefully and do your due diligence. And then the last thing is that there's these peer references that are chosen by the dean or dean's delegate. And so what I'll tell you is that when you're thinking about names of peer references, have one or two extras, and you can work with your department chair in my office, and we'll use one of those as the dean or dean's delegate reference. All right. So the CV, and so this is a little bit confusing in the sense of, this is from the university handbook. So for Creighton employed faculty, this is the format that the CV has to be in on October 31st. I affectionately refer to this as the world's worst format for a CV. But in fairness, at the university level, the university are looking at CVs from basic scientists to poets. So it kind of has to cover everything. For the affiliate faculty, is that they can have a CV in kind of the more what I would consider normal format for a School of Medicine CV. And then the other important thing of the dossier, so there's, I think, two things that are require some thought. The first is the references, and this is the second one, it's the faculty profile. So the university considers this to be optional. I do not. So this is really the area where you, as a candidate, put your record into context. So you want to use this in a 3 to 5 page format to basically put your achievements into context and how they meet the guidelines for whatever you're asking for. You just don't want to simply repeat what's in the CV. Again, people can read that, but you want to put it into context. Again, remember, this is going to be evaluated by people at the School of Medicine, basic scientists and clinicians who may or may not be very familiar with your area of expertise. So you need to, again, put things in context. If you published a paper in external, why was that a big deal? If you developed some sort of new clinical procedure, why was that a big deal? For your teaching, again, if you developed a new class or something like this, again, putting things into context so smart people who are not necessarily experts in your field will understand the importance of it. So I think this is probably the area that might take the most work, just because general writing can be painful. You want to be, again, concise, 3 to 5 pages. We've literally had 35-page faculty profiles. Not to be offensive, but nobody wants to read 35 pages about anybody. So again, be concise, be respectful of the people on the rank and tenure committee who have to review a lot of these. Get to the point. As a Minnesotan and Upper Midwesterner, this is not the time to be kind of humble. again, you need to just directly state, this is why my work is important, and here is why I'm valued to the university. Student evaluations. So student evaluations are available online for School of Medicine, so this is pretty easy. If you teach outside of the School of Medicine, you are responsible for getting the student evaluations, although most other schools and colleges have things online now. It's pretty straightforward. The Creighton Medical Student Government Committee will evaluate the faculty and submit their kind of evaluation of that individual's teaching. And as I mentioned before, for non-school of medicine, if let's say you teach in, I don't know, dentistry or something like that, you're responsible for that. And then the last thing is the appendix. And here you want to be, again, mindful. And this is copies of representative things that really support your faculty profile and your CV. So things that you think are most important, or could be very difficult to find online, like book chapters, for example. I think things that are also especially powerful, like for clinicians, if you have grateful patient notes, et cetera, to kind of speak to your clinical care, that's all good. If you make a big deal about, I don't know, being, let's say you're an editor on a journal or something, having the letter of appointment in the appendix, again, things that provide evidence to the things that are in your CV. Don't go crazy. You want to have representative things. Again, no one's going to look through a 200-page appendix. So again, be thoughtful on what you include in this. So this dossier is due October 31st to my office. And, you know, last year and in the old days, it was PDF format, and this would all come via either a flash drive or Dropbox to Lorraine McCloskey, and then she get it posted on Blue Line. But that is now not going to happen anymore. So I first heard about this around the first of the year, and was just in a meeting with Joanna, and the university is moving to a new system called Interfolio. And kind of long story short, nothing's changing. Everything's the same. It's just basically using a web-based means to upload this information instead of flash drives and stuff. So for those of you who are serious about going up this year, when you're thinking about saying, okay, June 1st is when I want to have my CV ready and the names and contact of my references, is contact myself and Lorraine and Joanna, and then we can get you going in this Interfolio and show you how to get things submitted, and then kind of walk you through the process. So like I said, it's more of a web-based means of uploading and collating the information. So that is one change that's happening this year. And then the review process and just all of this mumbo jumbo is out of the university faculty handbook, and just the membership and purpose of the rank and tenure committee. And long story short is basically this is an elected committee of your peers, basic scientists and clinicians. Lorraine and I were working on elections right now. So this is a very important committee. And these are our peers who evaluate the dossiers. And then for the employed faculty, the dossiers go to the University Rank and Tenure Committee, who do the same exact thing. On that committee, there are 2 representatives from the School of Medicine, but there's also arts and science and law and nursing, et cetera. They review the dossiers, they vote, they write a letter, then the university president will make the final decision, which is announced in March. So last slide, again, timeline, June 1st is an important date, is when you need to know, preferably before then. So we can get these forms filled out, get everything, kind of figure this Interfolio thing out. Over the summer, we can work on the dossier. October 31st is when it's due. And then the best thing is just to forget about it as it goes through the review process. So all these guidelines and policies are on our website. Jessica was kind enough again to put the slide deck into the chat. And with that, I will be happy to answer questions here.
Can you see the questions, Jason, on chat, or do you want me to read them?
I'm just kind of,
You're looking at them.
I'm looking at them. Sorry, I'm just kind of slow.
Okay. And
So
let's
where do you want to start here?
let's unshare your screen too, or
Oh,
stop
yeah.
sharing.
Thank
There
you.
you go. Then people can see you better. Okay.
That's okay. All right, so how many years are required? So generally from assistant to associate, people generally come up between their 5th and 6th year. How many peer-reviewed articles are required? Again, it's dependent on if you're teaching research, clinical educator, tenure track or non-tenure track. And in those guidelines, it will give you the kind of indications of publications. And again, these are guidelines. So I don't get too hung up on the number crunchy thing. Again, for publications in the sense of, let's say you're one short, but you're publishing in like super high impact journals. Um, again, the committee will take these things into consideration. What's considered a terminal degree? Oh my gosh, that's a really good question, and it's totally dependent upon the field. So a really good example is our colleagues that are in PA is the master's degree is considered to be a terminal degree in that field. So and that's something that's kind of changing as well. But that's more on the faculty appointment side. If you're here having this conversation right now on the Zoom, you have a faculty appointment, so you're good. Medical students count, I assume, for student evaluations, yes. Do the references have to be current peers or students? No. If you've trained them at any point in your career, yeah, they can write you a letter. So I think that is all good. More details in the references. Do they have to be from the specialty? How about? Yeah. So I wouldn't get too hung up about having kind of like people like in your Uber specialty. Again, it's mainly do they know you? Can they write you strong letters? Can they speak to your, let's say if it's for scholarship, yeah, having somebody that's in your specialty saying, yes, this person is recognized as a regional expert in their field. Yeah, that's great. Does the rank of the letter writer reference count? I don't know. So yeah, in general, if you're going up for associate, sure, in an ideal world, yes, it's nice to have people who are academics as associate level or higher. But having said that, so for myself, for example, is one of my letter writers who dealt with my scholarship is a scientist at the NIH, no academic appointment at all, but it's in my field and could write a letter speaking to my contributions to the field. So I don't think that that matters quite so much as long as they have the right context to write a letter for what is important for you. Peer references, you have to upload or they upload directly. So very good question. So one of the things with this interfolio is that once Lorraine has the list of the names and contact information of your references, is basically those individuals will directly upload their letters into the interfolio system. So once you give us the name and contact information, you don't have to worry about anything else. We will take care of everything else for you. If I have a current colleague peer who helped train, yeah, I mean, if you help train them, yes. So again, using myself as an example, when I went up for full professor, one of my trainees was by that time a faculty member. I mean, they wrote me a letter as my trainee because that was the interaction that we had at that time. So yes. Does time at another university for assistant count? Yeah, so this is a fairly nuanced question, and so it does and it doesn't. And so it does in the sense of you're an assistant professor at X university or an associate and you come here. And so you're going to have a previous history of teaching, scholarship, and service at the previous university. And so in general, what the rank and tenure committee is going to want to see is a continuation of that trajectory while you're here. And to do that, you need multiple data points, i.e. multiple years of service to really kind of show that whatever trajectory you're on for these things. Plus, I think importantly, getting student evaluations from Creighton trainees. I think these are all really important things. So if you're coming here from another university, I'd highly recommend that you speak to myself or Joanna, and we can kind of help you again, it can be a very nuanced kind of question. Okay, Dean's delegate. Yeah, so this is a relatively recent requirement by the university. And basically it's, okay, you as the faculty, you're giving us a list of names of references. And I think there was some concern at the university level that basically you're picking out like 6 of your best buds. And it's like, yeah, you're going to get all really good letters. And so what they wanted to do was to have the dean or the dean's delegate choose somebody independently of the faculty member. In a school of medicine with 2,000 faculty, I tell you right now, it's impossible for the dean just to like randomly pick people for all this stuff. So we kind of use the dean's delegate clause, which is the department chair. And so again, I think we're going to ask your department chair for a name. And so again, I think it's totally legit for you and your department chair to have a conversation about, oh, who do we think would be a good dean's delegate reference? So clarify about the number of the years. Is it a requirement or a typical observation? Yeah, very good question. So I think where it's probably most important is for new faculty going from assistant to associate. And there, I really think the 5 to 6 years is important. If people try to go up early, there can be problems. And again, it's number of data points. It is rightly or wrongly, again, committees are populated by human beings, is that I think when people come up early, there might be different expectations. So I'm cautious about people going up early. And my job is I want everyone to be a slam dunk. And so I'm going to work as hard as I can to try to make that happen. Sorry, how is the dean's delegate different than any other reference? Because we're saying it is. Yeah, don't record that, Jessica. The dean's delegate will be your department chair. No, it doesn't have to be. I just think it could be another reference that's suggested by someone technically not other than you. For clarification, all the references should write a letter and upload it. That is correct. So when we contact them, there's going to be a link to say, okay, when you have your letter, click this link, upload. It's just like any of us writing a letter of recommendation for a student or something. You upload your letter to a web page. That's all Interfolio is. It's just this web-based interface for doing this stuff. Yeah, so what's the benefit of going through this process? Fantastic question. So a couple of benefits, especially with tenure, because I get this question a lot. I think it's very legitimate in the sense that, especially for our affiliate faculty, where the definition of tenure is a guarantee of faculty appointment, since we don't control the dollars. So I think there's two areas where and this is just me speaking as a department chair, where I advise faculty where it's worth it. So probably the main thing is just in career development, is that going from assistant to associate and having associate with tenure is a benefit in your career. Most faculty are not going to spend their entire career at one academic institution. if at a later point you decide to go to a different academic institution, having that rank and tenure designation is of benefit to you. The second benefit, and this is a smaller one, I guess, depending on your perspective, is that there are certain committees that you need a certain rank and tenure requirement to serve on. So a good example is the rank and tenure committee. So per university rules is that you need to be a tenured associate professor or higher to serve on that committee. If that's something of interest to you, okay, so that might be a reason. But very good question. When are letters due? So the letters, so everything is due by October. And I assume you mean the letters of reference. These are all, again, due October 31st. So June 1st, when we get that list of contact of your references and your CV, then Lorraine will contact the references by email, and again with a link to submit their letter, and she will pester them mercilessly until the letters are submitted. So again, that's our responsibility. Very good questions. Thank you.
Jason, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, this is Carolyn Manhart. Thanks.
Carolyn.
Hey, so are we supposed to request the letters personally from all these references, or do you?
No. So we request the letters, but I would recommend you is contacting, whoever you're thinking about asking and saying, hey, would you be willing to write me a letter, and chat with them about what you've covered in the letter. I think I just think professionally, that's a good thing to do. In the sense you just they get this random email saying, hey, we're going to write you a letter. Oh, I've never heard from this person. Why didn't they ask me about this? And then B, that you can then help them focus. It's like, I want you to focus on this part, and I want you to focus on this part. And that way, by the time you have your 6 or whatever letters or 8 letters, is that, yeah, these 3 are covering my scholarship, these 3 are covering my teaching, these 2 are covering service. So I have somebody saying nice things about me in all these areas that are going to be evaluated. Yeah. But as far as getting the letters, that's all on us.
Thank you.
Yes, we are cat herders. So. Both internal and external. That is correct. That is correct. Department chair letters, they come right to us. So, yeah. Yeah. All right. So I don't see any more questions in the chat. But if other questions come up, you can always email or call or text myself or Joanna, or Lorraine, who knows more than all of us put together about the process. And again, for those of you who are, it's like, yes, I know I'm going to go up June 1st. I would email us sooner rather than later, just because of this interfolio thing. Just I want to make sure that it's a new process. It should be okay, but I mean, we've all done new software things before, so I don't want to jinx it too much. Example dossier. I
Jason, I
don't.
think one of the good things that people could do is ask people that have already gone up for promotion and had a good dossier, or maybe they are already like somebody in their department.
Yeah.
I've had people say to me, hey, when you're ready, I can show you kind of an example of what mine look like. So you could reach out to people that have already done it before.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that the most important parts are it's gonna be your faculty profile, which is gonna be unique to you. And that's something I'm happy to work with you over the summer on. I do a lot of editing, so this is kind of in my wheelhouse. But yeah, it's a simple process. So it's just those two things that I mentioned. Make sure you choose the right people to write letters. And when you write your faculty profile, by the time they get to page 3, you want the reviewer, it's like, yeah, this is a slam dunk. They've done everything. So all right. Well, again, if there's other questions, feel free to reach out and chat with us. Otherwise, I want to be mindful of people's time. And thank you for attending and all the very good questions. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, guys.
Jason.
Thank you.
All right.